Hi all, and thanks so much for joining Capterra's live B2B software website assessment. I appreciate you guys all sending in some landing pages and websites that we'll plan to go through today. My name is Sarah Hartnoff. I am the Client Success Manager here at Capterra. So I work with a lot of vendors across various industries day to day to ensure websites and landing pages are set up to see success in generating leads through pay-per-click advertising. So I'm excited to look through and review some of them that you guys have sent in for today. For the agenda, to start out, we're going to go over just a couple of key features that all of these high-converting website and landing pages have in common. Kind of what are those key elements required to make sure you're presenting your business in a way that not only educates visitors about what you do, but also makes it as easy as possible for them to take the next step with your product. We will then go through a handful of the websites and landing pages that you've submitted for the teardown, and then I'll open it up to any additional questions that you have. Please keep in mind also this webinar is being recorded, so it will be sent out, the live recording will be sent out to all registered participants tomorrow morning. So some of those key features to discuss regarding landing pages or websites, to start would be kind of a value proposition as your heading. So what is the key differentiating feature about your product? Why would someone choose you versus the competition? You know, highlighting not only target market information, but specifically features that are specific to your product and are really compelling to your target market. That's the best way to start any page of your site, and it's certainly going to be that compelling element that allows people to want to continue scrolling and continue staying on your site to get excited to take the next step. Next, you're going to need to provide targeted, scannable content. That's going to be the information about your features and your products that's going to be to educate visitors about what it is you do and who you're best suited for, laid out in a way that's pretty easy to scan and navigate and digest. Arguably the most important part of any website or landing page is going to be your call to action or your offer. Really the goal of any website is to not only capture the attention of the visitor, but then be able to generate leads from it. So whatever you're offering being, you know, free demo, free trial are typically those that convert the best, but making sure that is attached directly to a short lead capture form where interested buyers can provide their contact details so that you're able to follow up with them as a lead. You'll also want to include trust elements. So whether that is company logos or testimonials or stats or any awards or accolades that your product has received. Buyers feeling like they're in good company prior to kind of taking the next steps with your product can really help with conversion rate, certainly if they have never heard of your product prior. So trust elements are going to be really huge in kind of getting people to take those next steps. All right, so we are just going to jump right into going over some of the landing pages that you guys submitted. I'm going to start with a Paychex landing page. This is actually an example of a page that I believe is already likely converting very well. It has most of those key elements that I just reviewed. So I think it'd be a great starting out point to kind of help visualize a landing page that I think is doing everything right, and then kind of being able to compare those to a layout like this. So as you can see here, very up-to-date look and feel. You know, great use of white space. It's not information overload, but the heading there and the value proposition is applicant tracking systems to attract, recruit, and onboard the right candidates with ease. I very readily know kind of what this product does and who it's best suited for. So if I fall into that bucket, I'm interested. I'm going to continue scrolling onto this page. They use some trust elements, including stats and renewal rates, which I think are compelling, a different visual element there. They offer a free demo, so get free demo, and then that offer is reiterated with the submit button. They have about a 6-field form, so that's a great number. Again, typically 4 to 6 fields is going to be the sweet spot This form also includes kind of a qualifying field, so beyond just the normal contact information, they require a number of employees. That can help your sales team segment out, who this, prioritize following up with leads, as well as who this lead should be directed to or routed to. As you scroll, the content here is designed in a way that it has a heading, it has bullet points, very easy to scan, navigate. The images here help kind of reiterate the feature that's being called out within the page. And then at the bottom, they reiterate that demo offer with a testimonial, which is excellent. They also include Capterra's reviews badge here at the bottom, which is another great trust element that a lot of our vendors utilize that directs directly to the reviews page of your Capterra profile. So yeah, this page, in my opinion, is doing everything right. I imagine they're seeing great conversion rates in utilizing this page. So let's take a look at one of the first ones. So here is Inflectra's website. This is a website page. As you can see, they include kind of two layers of navigation here, which I think can be kind of confusing. If you're going to include a navigation bar, if you're going to drive traffic to your website rather than a standalone landing page, you definitely want to include a navigation bar that makes sense. This is quite a few tabs. I would probably spread this out across the top rather than have it in multi-layers. I'm also not a fan of scrolling bars across the top of websites or landing pages. They can move too quick to read, and you might miss out on what the key features are or what the information is here. The buttons can be difficult to click, and it's just a little distracting. It can cause someone to maybe want to backtrack from this page. As you scroll down here, something that I'm noticing is quite a bit of hyperlinks and in different colored text. It makes the site look a little dated, in my opinion. I like that there's headings and there's short bullet points, but the actual hyperlinks as well as the different colors just make it look a little dated. I also don't think that each section needs a button. The more buttons that you have that can take a visitor away from the initial page, the less likely they are to convert. So you want to, draw buyers' attention as quickly and as directly as possible to what the goal is of your website. So whatever your primary offer is, which for this page, it looks like it's the free trial, which you can see in the heading. So I would just keep this as a static image, probably make that copy the trust element, or I'm sorry, the value proposition that is relevant across the board for the page, and then just have that free trial button static. Learn more. So I typically don't recommend having multiple offer buttons, especially ones that are equally weighted. You want to, free trial is certainly going to be more compelling to visitors, so it's likely going to convert at a higher rate. I would just remove the learn more option, as it has the option to go to the different pages of the site at the top in the navigation. So this is, I like down here the way that this content is laid out with the icons, again with the headings, but removing the bold print, removing the hyperlinks, removing the different color copy, I think can help make this site a better look and feel. There's also a lot going on here towards the bottom. I'm not exactly sure, it's a little overwhelming with how much is going on as far as copy and different size. It's not super user-friendly as far as digesting what all it is that you want me to look at. It's almost information overload here. So I think this site needs to be simplified quite a bit. Quite a few options to leave this page, a little overwhelmed with the amount of content here, the amount of buttons that there are to click, the amount of offers. So really just simplifying, making sure that the features are laid out in a way that are easy to scan, and really just having the goal of this to be that free trial button. Okay, moving on to the next. Here we have Lab Collector. So Electric Lab Notebook. This one also has, it looks like a couple of scrolling pages. I don't mind the scrolling icons as much when it comes to trust elements. I think company logos Specifically, really strong companies can be really powerful in rotating through those, so I don't mind that bar as much. I again would make the recommendation to keep the heading, just a value proposition that would quickly reiterate to someone that they found the right place, maybe with your key differentiating feature, along with your next step call to action right there. I noticed as this bar scrolls through, there's different offer buttons. Sometimes it just includes learn more, sometimes it has your trial offer. I definitely make sure that trial offer is static. Also, a lot of buttons and a lot of different things to click on this page. It has the navigation bar at the top along with the social media icons, a couple of different offers including pricing, and then it looks like some product, I guess the different product pages that this navigation bar is scrolling through here. So kind of a lot going on. Again, a little overwhelmed of what exactly it is that you want me to do next. You really want to lay it out to your visitors. This is our content, this is what our product does, this is how it can help your business, and this is how you can learn more, this is how you can take the next step. So, not sure exactly where you want me to click. There's no real directional cues or anything like that. So I keep this image static. You can continue rotating through the logos here. I like the testimonials. Those are great uses of trust elements. The little nitpicky, but the overall kind of spacing on these looks a little odd. Maybe makes a copy a little bit bigger if it has a box that is not going to quite fill up. Maybe include an image of who that person is that can really help build with the credibility, kind of putting a face to the name. As you continue scrolling, looks like the different industry applications with the option to learn more. I like the icons there. View all. Not sure where that goes. So it looks like you can dig into each industry more. Again, those are any button that takes a visitor away from the page is going to be competing with your call to action. So I limit those as much as possible. You already have the learn more hyperlink, so if someone wants to kind of continue within that industry or those add-ons, they have the option to do so. I wouldn't necessarily sprinkle these additional buttons throughout the site. More features, download free version. Downloads typically don't get a great conversion rate as it requires someone to download something onto their laptop. Specifically, if they haven't heard of the product before, they might be a little weary of doing that. I would stick to your free trial offer that you have at the top of the page and reiterate that down here. Keeping the options for calls to action minimal can really help push that primary offer through and increase conversion rate. Looks like there's another offer down here for newsletter. I understand the wanting to get in front of buyers at all different stages of the sales cycle, but have definitely found and have lots of stats to back up that if you lead with a primary offer, specifically the one that you find converts the best for you, it's likely going to impact your conversion rates in a positive way. So lots of different offers throughout this page, a download, a newsletter, a trial, a pricing, all kind of competing with each other. So I've minimized the number of offers that you include. This submit button kind of looks floating over here a little bit, so I'd align that if you're going to include that. But overall, yeah, some updates to the actual copy and content, and just limiting the number of buttons and offers that you have, and I think this page could likely convert pretty well. Okay, moving on to the next. So this is Focus Industry. This page, specifically compared to the last we've seen, is a little bare. It has the logo as kind of the front and center. Though what does your ministry focus on isn't quite as benefits focused as I'd recommend. Rather than asking that question, I would say what this product can do for your company. Specifically, since the copy is pretty minimal, I'm assuming most people are going to go ahead and read what you have listed here. So definitely make sure you put your best foot forward in capturing the attention of visitors and want them to continue scrolling. I think the image back here is a little boring. I think it could probably be better. So, just since that is such prime real estate of your page, always looking to improve that. As you scroll, content's laid out in a way very easy to navigate. It looks like you're offering kind of to learn more for the different portions of your profile, which is great. I actually think this image that you include back here is a lot more interesting. It definitely helps build the value of your specific product for the industry that you're in, so I would probably recommend testing that towards the top. It looks like the heading of this call to action, or of this form, is need more information, have any questions we can answer. Fill out the form below and we'll get back to you in less than 24 hours. I would be a little bit more specific than that. That's a pretty vague offer. You know, someone is much more inclined to provide their contact details if they know exactly what to expect in return. So rather than putting the decision on the buyer, tell them what they're going to get. So say, you know, is this a free demo of your product? Is this a free trial of your product? Include that in the heading and then reiterate that in the button. The contact me please button, yeah, I think that could be a lot stronger with just stating what your offer is. For the form itself, a little bit longer than what we typically recommend. You know, name, email, phone number, church. It asks products you're interested in as well as the system you currently use. Certainly the products you currently use can be help as a qualifying feature, but I think those last two fields just add a lot of visual length to the form itself. Likely you're not going to get any information that is absolutely essential for the initial conversation with the buyer through the comments field, so you could significantly reduce the overall form by removing those last two fields. That's what I would do, and then just update the copy on the button to reiterate that offer. All right, on to the next. So this is BIM 360. This is a pretty nice layout as far as look and feel of the site. It's very updated. I like the video. Videos can be a really great way to include a lot of content in an interactive way. So, you know, it allows you to avoid that paragraph, the paragraphs of content that no one's really going to spend the time reading. For this, I think the heading, though, could be a little bit stronger. Give us a minute. It doesn't really tell me too much about what your product does or how I could be benefited from implementing. And you do have some space here. So if you shift that video down a little bit, you might be able to update that heading to be more benefits focused. For the form itself, it looks like the offer here is, again, to give us a minute, let's talk. I'd be interested to hear how that call to action performs. Typically, again, the more specific and more action-oriented you can be, the better. Demo and trial are certainly those that we found work the best in converting traffic. So I'd probably recommend updating to one of those. The company type, again, adds a lot of visual length to the actual form itself. I'm not sure if that's essential to know prior to calling the buyer, but if not, you could really reduce the visual length of your form by removing that section. If it's essential, then you still have a short enough form that I think that it's okay. I like that it's outlined in a box and really pops off the back of the page. Helps with kind of the visual hierarchy of the elements on this page. As you scroll, looks like you go through some of the different product levels that you offer. Yeah, I think that's good. This is certainly my favorite part of this page. What our customers say, not only great testimonials, but testimonial videos. Those are really powerful. Those are, you know, saying great things about your own product is great, but hearing what actual users of your product are saying about your product is going to be even more impactful. So people that are in the market of purchasing software love to see this type of information. Not only the videos and testimonials, but also these company logos. This is great. This is a really strong trust element page. You've really built your authority within this space for me as a consumer with this portion. Maybe even increasing the prominence of it. I'd say that this section is probably the strongest of the page itself. You know, you have room here if you wanted to add those company logos below your form itself before diving into some additional content. Might prioritize those trust elements a little bit more. Moving on, so here we have HighSpot. This page starts with what is sales enablement. and dives into, I guess, some of the commonly asked questions or common definitions of what this industry product can do. This is pretty general. I think that you never want your copy to apply to any other competitor within the same space. If your copy can be pretty blanketed and apply to multiple products, it's not targeted enough. It's not compelling enough. So this seems to just answer the question of what is sales enablement, but I'm guessing that if someone is already shopping for sales enablement software, they've likely identified that. They know what their product or what their problem is and how this type of software can help. So maybe digging into a little bit more about, if you know common pain points of your target market, using your copy here to answer those questions, knowing what they might ask. So making this, as specific as possible. Also, when you have a lot of copy like this, in kind of a paragraph format, it is a little dull to look at. It's not very easy to scan. I'm likely going to skip down past it pretty quickly, and it looks like this is kind of the end of the page. So that's, I don't know that I would spend too much time on this page reading this information. It's not visually interesting to me. So here would be a great time to include, if you have a video or if you have some icons that would help you pull out some features. I think that this page would be improved on quite a bit. It looks like your leading offer here is download the guide. Again, download offers don't typically convert as well, and also a lot of times you're not able to capture the contact details of the visitor that's downloading. With this specific case you are, but I'd recommend, I noticed kind of in the blind spot of the website on the top right, you have a request a demo offer. My guess is if that was more prominently placed, it would get a lot more form submissions. So I would test leading with that. Let's see where this button goes. Okay, so yeah, similar form. I'd probably recommend, just leading with your demo request rather than the download. Download's going to be interesting and compelling to those that are really early on in the actual kind of purchasing process, rather than those that are ready to start trialing right away. So that would be my recommendations for this one. All right, next we have PDC Flow, free e-signature solution for regulation e-compliance. That's a pretty great heading value proposition. It's pretty specific to who they're targeting and who their product is suited for. Considering that it's a free product, I'm assuming that is a pretty strong differentiating feature for them within the industry. Very up to date as far as kind of look and feel. Good use of white space. Visitors definitely are looking for simple websites. Simplicity is key. So I like that this site kind of separates the different portions of the website by just using a very, very not extremely noticeable, like contrasted color, so just the gray versus the white, but it helps my eyes kind of follow down on the page. Great use of icons, headings, and just kind of short snippets as far as additional products, or I'm sorry, additional features. These are very easy to navigate, very easy to digest. Certainly if you had a couple of additional ones that you wanted to include here, I think these are kind of the key features for implementing. You can include, I would maybe do another row of those just to have a little bit more content that can help educate about your product. It looks like here, so good short form, right around 6 fields, what we would recommend. I don't love that there's not a heading on this form. Again, someone's much more likely to submit their contact details knowing exactly what to expect in return. So I like having headings on forms as well as having that offer reiterated through the submit button itself. And also it looks like on the submit button here, the offer is contact me about free e-signature flow. Contact us, again, a pretty weak offer. Someone is going to be much more inclined to submit contact details if they're excited about what's next. So demo offers, trial offers, price quotes, things like that that are much more specific. So I'd recommend adding that heading as well as reiterating the offer in the submit button itself. This page is missing some trust elements. I think that would really help, improve kind of the look and feel of the page. I would, if you continue scrolling, if there's a room to add trust elements below the form itself. Typically, trust elements perform really well when being closely attached to the form. Again, if visitors are kind of on the fence of taking those next steps, sometimes that user feedback can be the exact information that they need to be incentivized. So, yep, I would add logos or some customer testimonials here right below the form itself. But other than that, good page. So next we have a CMMS, it looks like SSCMMS product. Heading is grab control of your maintenance operations, be in control, be formed, be organized, be efficient. So that's a pretty good heading. It looks to me like the information that's on this page is a little crammed. I think that makes the page look a little out of date. Certainly wanting to make sure it's easy to navigate and digest all of the content that you have here. You have some good elements, but just the way that it's organized, it looks a little squished. Everything is kind of equally weighted, so there's no hierarchy as far as what you want me to look at first, no directional cues either, so that can be helpful. For this page, I would likely pull down that heading a little bit, and then I'm not sure what that screenshot is. It looks like it might be an image of the database. So, every element on your landing page or website, you want to be very purposeful. So even images, you want to contribute to the value of your product. So images can work well if you're, if you're showing images of the dashboard that you think interested buyers would be helpful to have prior to signing up for your demo. This image is pretty small. The copy on it's pretty small. I don't know how much value it's adding to this page. I'd likely use that real estate for something that can be more impactful, maybe a video. Maybe if you have, for your CMMS product, if you're able to be mobile, displaying, your image on a tablet as well as on a mobile phone, or on a desktop can help kind of reiterate one of those as a feature. So yeah, I'd probably lead with a better image and then have that start your free 30-day trial form right next to it. That is a great offer. Very short form, which is great. Again, button reiterating your offer. If there's a way to make that form stand out a little bit, whether it's giving it a little bit of a highlight in the back or updating the color of your start free trial button just to make it pop a little bit, contrasting that form would likely draw more attention to it, and assume you'd get more visitors filling it out. I'd probably shift the different icons that you have as features below the image in the trial form itself. This is additional copy, or these are additional features that I think would be better suited below kind of the image and heading. I'd also space them out a little bit if you're able to stretch the limits of this page, rather than it looks like everything's pretty squished to the center, but have some more space in between those. Good testimonial here. It's a little long. Maybe pulling out the most powerful sentence of that or two, and again, giving it a little bit more space in between the other elements on this page, making the copy a little bit larger so that it's easy to scan. Photos are always really nice to have, but even without, I like that it has a name with a title. So good trust element there. Continuing to scroll, looks like you include some pricing information, which is great. That's certainly a feature that buyers are interested in learning right out of the gate. I know our natural tendency is to require that someone contact us prior to providing that pricing information, but it can be, especially if pricing is one of your differentiating features, providing that up front can be really helpful. That's great content to include. As you scroll here, again with the icons and features, I think these are good, but just organized in a way that are a little crammed. and the margins are a little odd. So you'll want to, like some of the other pages we've seen, whether it's an icon and having a heading with a short little description, or organizing these in a way that makes a little bit more sense. As you continue scrolling here, a lot more content here at the bottom. You reiterate your offer with some additional trust elements near the form, which is great. Love the Capterra Reviews badge. Again, another great trust element. So overall, I think a lot of great features on this page. It could use a little refresh as far as an updated look. And I think a large portion of that can be handled by the spacing and the margins on this page, just to make it a little bit easier to scroll through and kind of prioritize the order of things that you want to have digested. Okay, I'm going to move on. So this looks like it's Lessonly, a learning automation software. Capture internal knowledge, best practices, and team policies as searchable and assignable step-by-step lessons. That's super compelling to me. I think that's a really great heading. Let's see where See How directs to. Okay, so it directs to a video and some really good company logos. I would likely include these two elements on the actual homepage itself. These are really strong, really great, video and trust elements. I noticed you have a free trial button up here in the navigation bar. Again, that's going to be the blind spot of your site. Visitors can very quickly scroll down this page and not even see something tucked away in the navigation bar. So I would recommend replacing this See How button with your offer. So have that be your free trial. And then as you scroll here, I'd add that video and those trust elements really prominently on this page. I think that was a beautiful display of both of those things. So I think that would be the best way to add content. Okay, so you do have some trust elements here, great testimonial. Yeah, and the video is here. A lot of different options for someone to leave this initial page. I understand it's the home page, but since you have such good content, you have your video, you have your trust elements, you have your good features, I'd want them to stay on this page as much as possible and just use the navigation if they're not finding what they're looking for. So I don't know that I would necessarily need to include all of the different pages that you include in your navigation right here on the home page. But free trial is a great offer. This content organized in a way that's pretty easy to scan through. So I imagine this is likely seeing pretty good conversion rates to date. But the biggest thing I'd say is replacing your free trial offer from the navigation to this really prominently placed button on your homepage is likely going to really increase the number of people that you're getting to submit that. All right. Next, we have My Students' Progress. I've heard some conflicting information about the videos being on the homepage as kind of a static. I typically don't like them. You get distracted with kind of what's going on in the video in the background and forget about the content. So I would keep the videos, maybe make this more of a static image and keep the videos to the type of format like it is here. Since you're already including a video, I don't know that, working through the images that are going through on the background, it's really adding much value, and it can be pretty distracting. So I've removed that. A powerful all-in-one school information management system. That's a pretty good value proposition. So that's good. This is a really cool use of trust element. Again, calling out numbers, showing your customer base, your user base, how many people you've helped. That can be super compelling, specifically for companies that might not have heard of your product prior. So that's a great use of trust element. Continuing to scroll, the lifestyle images can be help add a real element to the page. So they can be used as a trust element, specifically, for an industry such as this. As I'm scrolling, I think, yeah, this page is really good. My biggest concern was I don't know what you want me to do next. After I confirm, this is what I'm looking for. These are all the features I want. Your schedule a demo button is all the way here at the bottom. That is the goal for any visitor that comes to this website page. Your goal is to get them to see the Schedule a Demo button and then to fill it out. So I think it's super important to prioritize where that's listed. Certainly you'll want to reiterate it towards the bottom, but including that more prominent is going to be really important. The form itself, it's a little long. So first name, last name, title, that's one that I don't typically recommend including. It can be pulled pretty easily through a quick Google search or LinkedIn. Email and phone number, company, certainly you'll want to include. City and state, that's something that you can typically pull pretty easily through analytics or using your IP lookup. So I don't know that it's essential to include on the actual form itself. You know, wanting to include type of school and type of private school, you know, those are some qualifying features. Again, any additional field that you add to your form is going to add about a 10% drop-off rate of your conversion. So anywhere where you can shed fields that are not essential for that initial conversation, I'd recommend doing so. That being said, certainly, if, you know, again, how you send out your leads to your sales team, if that helps prioritize and helps with your lead process, I don't think that it's bad unless it's making your form way too long, which in this case certainly would need to lose a couple of fields. For your message, again, you're probably not going to capture too much insightful information there that you're not going to get from your initial conversation, so I'd remove that. And then reiterate that offer with your submit button. So I would update submit to say start demo now. But other than that, yeah, reducing this form quite a bit and making sure that demo offer is at the top of the page, and certainly throughout the page is going to be helpful. I'd likely recommend having the button right here below your value proposition. Okay, moving forward. Decision software. So this page, it's pretty good look and feel, pretty updated look. The lifestyle images that are taking up the prime real estate of the page, I don't know that they're going to add tons of value. I'd likely use this portion of the page for something that you know, helps sell your product. So, you know, the different feature drop-down, as stated a couple of times at this point, I'm not a fan of rotating bars. I think they're distracting. So I think picking, you know, whether it's a video, whether it's an image of your dashboard, whether it's, you know, whatever you think would be helpful for buyers, using that space here, and then just having what your offer is right there at the top of the page would likely be more helpful for someone that's looking to compare your software. Text is pretty small, quite a bit of, it is pretty copy heavy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it is a pretty short page. But yeah, I'm not seeing your offer. Let's see, schedule a product demo. So this doesn't stand out to me as a button. I'm assuming most people are on this page don't completely miss that altogether. And then when you click on it, let's see, contact us. Yeah, it goes to a short form, which is good. There's no benefit of having a clear button at the bottom of your form. If someone goes through and fills out your form, submits their contact details, and accidentally clicks clear rather than submit, the likelihood of them going through again and filling out your form is very low. So I've removed the clear button, especially if it's the one that's more centered below your form, and stick with just submit. You don't need to have competing offers, so making sure that people know that filling out this form, it's not a contact. It's a little confusing since you have contact us as well as the contact us page of the navigation, but then the heading of your form says demonstration. Making sure that your call to action is consistent throughout. Certainly making that look more like a button, making it a contrasting color, so something that doesn't blend in with your site will likely get more people filling that out. Okay, we'll go through a couple of more. So Snap surveys. Here we are. So start creating unique, engaging surveys with Snap survey software. I like that value proposition, good heading. As you scroll here, good use of features. I'm a fan of labeling, what you're about to tell people. So if there's a way, if you want to maybe say, top features or key features, and then have this list even include a little bit more. Right now you include 3 top features. Certainly if you want to include more like 6, that could be helpful in educating, specifically since there's not tons of copy associated with these features. As I scroll here, I love the short and sweet testimonial, as well as these logos and accolades that you include. Great trust elements on this page. My biggest thing here is going to be, for the heading of this page, it's quite a bit of copy before you dive right into what you're offering. So it says, get started with Snap, and then it requires a visitor to select whether they want a free demo, if they want pricing, or if they want information. You don't want to put the decision on the side of the buyer. Don't make them think. State exactly what it is that you're offering for next steps for interested buyers, likely through a lot of A/B split testing of what offer converts best for you, and just lead with that. You also don't need to include the please complete all fields. People are pretty familiar with how to interact with online forms. They're used to seeing them, so I think that doesn't need to be stated, and just adds a little bit extra copy and length to your online form. So yeah, I'd scrap all of the copy that's currently listed above the form itself and just lead with free demo or free trial. Good length of your online form. Don't know that you need to include ask a question. Certainly that you're hoping what they're going to do once your sales team reaches out is ask a lot of questions about your product. So again, if that's not essential, scrap that field. And then now that you know what your offer is, you can update the copy on that submit button to reiterate that. So if you're leading with your schedule a free trial, you could say start trial now. And again, you don't need to reiterate the please complete all fields. That's a given, specifically with a shorter form. So, but overall, nice look and feel, very updated, good amount of content, very easy to scan. Biggest thing here is if you have some space to provide some additional features if you'd like, and the call to action can be a lot clearer and a lot more specific. All right, next we have sector solutions. Capture your organization's knowledge for future reference. The lessons learned database helps capture knowledge from important projects, events, operations, or training. Okay, so that's pretty specific. I'm not usually a fan of incorporating multiple colors within a heading or a subheading. It can be a little bit distracting as you're trying to read through, so I'd likely just kind of, since that's all an equally weighted statement, keep that all the same color scheme. As you're scrolling down, the icons, the headings, and the copy itself, those good length of each, but the spacing looks a little off. I don't know that each line needs its own, you don't need to skip down to a new line for each word. It kind of makes them look a lot more long and thin versus kind of that natural scan left to right that people would expect to see when reading through different features. So even if it requires you to shift all of these features down to be below your form so that you can use the full margin, that's probably what I'd recommend doing. Let's take a look at it. So request a free trial, that's a great offer. Good length of your form. This send button kind of just disappears to me. You want to make sure that, I would reiterate your offer again as a very prominent button form here, likely in a contrasting color so that it stands off from this page compared to your content. Since it is such a short form, you don't want it to get lost. But overall, I like the heading, I like this offer, I like the form, but making sure that it stands out to visitors by updating that submit button to be more contrasting. And then maybe shifting down, if you have space for an image right here that's kind of next to that form, I would shift down all of the features so that you're able to use the full margin of the page. The page is missing trust elements. So, with that extra spacing here, if you have a customer testimonial video or if you have some company logos, that would be great use of space there. Reviews badges from various sites can be helpful as well. But overall, pretty nice look and feel. Just the spacing is off for these features, and it makes me kind of not really want to go through each of those. All right, the last one here I'm going to go through is MVIX. So their heading is Turnkey Digital Signage Solutions. I think these images that are below are really great, considering it's a digital signage software. Obviously, you're going to want to include images of how your product appears within monitors. So that's a great example of how you can use imagery to reiterate the value of your product. It's not just kind of stock images. This is how our product can appear on your monitors, and making sure that the imagery is really strong can really help build the value of your product. It's a little strange to have the navigation bar below that information. Typically, kind of user experience, we're used to seeing a navigation bar towards the top. So this is a little confusing. I might get a little distracted on this portion of the page as there's a lot of different options, a lot of different solutions. This would likely be an example of a vendor that I would push to create a standalone landing page versus a page of the website, since you do showcase your product for so many markets and so many different features. It can likely be very overwhelming for a visitor. If you know exactly what type of information your prospect is looking for, you can provide them with the most specific information that's relevant. Excuse me. So this looks like some just content. This is a little small for the amount of copy that's listed here. I have a hard time reading through it fairly quickly, so I imagine that's the case. I'm not sure why some of the information is underlined or bolded. So maybe if there's a way to break this out as specific features or kind of a different treatment of this, I think would be helpful. I like the kind of bullet points here, but I almost lose it with it since it follows so much copy. I mean, it looks like each of these, the reason they're underlined is each one is a clickable link that would allow you to go directly to that page. But it just kind of is distracting in the paragraph itself. Request a demo, great offer. I'd love to see that higher up on the page. Maybe in this space, if you're shifting this navigation bar up towards the top, having that demo button right here below your images, I think would be really powerful. And then being able to reiterate there at the bottom. Let's take a look at where that directs. Okay, so that's a great form. It's nice and short. Get in touch with us. Again, that's a conflicting offer. For free demo, you want to just keep your requested demo heading on this form, and I would remove all the rest of the copy. You don't want to put the power in the arms of the buyer. They need to know that you're going to be reaching out to them, or the sales team's going to be reaching out to them. You're not expecting them to contact you. So no need to include your phone number and hours on this lead capture form. Certainly if you want to include that on other contact portions of your website, you could, but not necessary to add as friction within the conversion path. Name, email, phone number, company, industry, all great fields. As mentioned a couple times, I think comments and questions likely does not add much value. So I'd remove that field, and I'd update the copy on the submit button to reiterate the demo offer. Okay, that's all we have time for as far as landing page and website teardowns. Thank you guys all so much for those that submitted. Certainly, if we didn't get a chance to go to your page today, your marketing advisor will be in touch with you and would be happy to go through the different features that we just discussed. So now I know some questions have been coming through as I've been navigating through some of these different websites. So I'd be happy to address some of those. Only have a couple of minutes remaining, but certainly if I don't get to any of the questions that you've submitted as well, please feel free to email me directly. My email address is sarah@capterra.com, or reach out to your marketing advisor here as well. So first question, what would you consider a good conversion rate with Capterra? Great question. So we typically, Capterra's traffic tends to be really targeted. and there's quite a bit of information that a buyer has prior to clicking through to a vendor website. So our conversion rates are typically a little bit higher than pay-per-click industry average. Pay-per-click industry average is between the 2 to 5% historically of what we've learned from our vendors that are active with a lot of different channels. Capterra's average tends to be closer to the 6 to 10% range. Certainly have several vendors well into the double digits, 20% conversion rate plus. It's not unheard of with really targeted landing pages. Landing pages do tend to convert better than website pages as well, specifically with pay-per-click, since you can avoid that information overload and really pay attention to the actual conversion path with just the most relevant information. So yeah, good conversion rate with Capterra, I'd say anywhere 10% plus. If you're seeing that, that would be great. Keep going through these. Sorry, I'm going to try and get to as many of these as possible, so I'll try and be a little bit more short-winded. Great question that just came in. Do I need customer permission to show their logo? Typically, I don't think that most people usually require permission to do that. I do know for several of my vendors that are using Capterra's logo treatment throughout their website or landing page as a trust element have sent several examples of the treatment for approval. So saying, wanting to add your logo as a trust element on our website, like, are you okay with this treatment? Making sure their brand is identified well on the actual page, I think is a great best practice. I don't know that it might be specific to the company itself regarding permissions for logos. I haven't had any vendors that have run into that issue though, but it would be a good idea to touch base directly with that company to see kind of what their privacy policy issues are. All right, next, what is the best call to action to use to get someone download your guide? Certainly for that, I'd say being as clear as possible. If your goal is to get a guide downloaded, the call to action should be download guide. So that's what I would use. But that being said, again, downloads typically do not convert as well as things like trials and demos. You're not yet a trusted company in these buyers' perspective. So requiring that they download something from your site to their site when they don't know much about you can likely really hinder the amount of people that you get to take those next steps. As well as downloads typically don't allow you to capture the contact details of people that are interested. So how are you going to follow up with those people as a lead? If you're directing interested buyers to this offer, you want to make sure your sales team is able to follow up with them. So download guide, again, not one that I recommend. Maybe as a secondary offer to get in front of those that are not quite ready to do demos, but they would need to be not equally weighted and very much secondary offers. Is there a call to action that has statistically higher conversion rates? Free trial versus free demo versus free pricing. We certainly have a lot of resources that tell us that free trial is the highest converting call to action used in online marketing currently. This is a great example of something I encourage you to A/B split test. Your visitors, your market, it might vary. So across the board generally, free trial tends to be very specific, very compelling to people that are wanting to take the next steps. So it can cast a wide net. And so that's what we have found. I encourage you to A/B split test different offers to find what your target market finds most compelling and what has the highest conversion rate for you. Let's see, I'm going to answer just one more. Okay, so what are the best practices / rule of thumb for including live chat? Can these drive conversions? So this is another great one for live chat to test. Some visitors find chat options annoying and distracting and can cause them to leave the page. It depends how intrusive you're going to be with the box. I don't mind the ones that stay minimized on website pages. and give people the option. I do know several companies that use their chat feature as a conversion path, and it works well for them. So if you have the capacity to have people be active on this type of offer or on this type of functionality, certainly it'd be something to test. It would only be hurting you if you offer a live chat function and then you are unresponsive to the live chat questions. Bad user experience from that perspective. Certainly something you could test. I would recommend doing a treatment that is non-intrusive and making sure that you're monitoring it pretty regularly. It could be a great way to start dialogue with people that are already on your website and interested in having questions about your product. All right, that is all we have time for today. Again, I really appreciate the participation. Thanks so much for those of you that sent over websites and landing pages. Again, there is a recording of this webinar that will be sent out to all people that registered, as well as your marketing advisor will be able to reach out to you for any of the landing page critiques that we did not have time to address. Last thing to note, we have started a service here at Capterra where we build landing pages for our vendors free of charge using a tool called Unbounce. So if you are interested in learning more about standalone landing pages that convert well and might not necessarily have the tools in place to build them yourself, certainly reach out to your marketing advisor with the next steps of getting involved with that program that we offer here as well. Happy to take any direct emails to my email address as well. But again, thanks so much for your time today, guys.